It has been a big week for Taylor Swift. Can you tell us more?
Monster week. Taylor's a fascinating figure. I mean, Kanye's a fascinating figure too. In another way, Taylor's a fascinating figure. I mean, no one gets 10 of the top 10. I don't even think the Beatles did that. I'm pretty sure Michael Jackson never did that.
So that's unprecedented.
I believe it's unprecedented. I can't say for sure that in history it has never happened, but the last time anything close to it happened, and this is impressive too, was Drake. And I think it was 2020. He had 9 of the top 10. And remember, Taylor's coming off of this extremely bold experiment where she was enraged by the fact that her old catalog was sold without her permission. So she reclaimed it and re-recorded it and re-released it. All of them massive successes on top of the successes that they already were in the 90s. So she was already, 2021, 2022 have just been phenomenal years for Taylor. So this is now she's done re-recording. This is fresh recordings, and she's still got it. So she's super hot right now.
Yeah, for Taylor fans everywhere, it's a great time to be one. So this is her 11th studio album that was #1. Is this her best album debut to date?
I don't know if it's the best selling. The albums back in the 90s, the record business has changed so dramatically. So, it used to be just units sold. You put out a CD, it sells number of units, and boom, there's your number. Now it's album equivalent units. It takes in an algorithm of a number of streams versus number of actual downloads. So the business has fallen off significantly. So I highly doubt that this is her top selling debut. But in the music economics of today, what she has done is phenomenal. It's phenomenal. There's no other way to put it.
So, she's had a really hot week. What is this feat worth to her financially?
In terms of having a top 10 single today isn't like it was yesterday in terms of dollars. But what it does is increase the already impressive amount of leverage she already had. I mean, we talked about Drake. He had 9 of the top 10. Around that time, I don't know if it was shortly after or maybe it was before, he was already a superstar. The album comes out. It's a monster hit like this. Next thing you know, Drake is signing a multi-$100 deal. We're told it's north of $400 million. We haven't secured the number yet. But once you have that kind of success and you have the kind of predictability that a Drake or a Taylor has, then you've got this leverage to go to the record company or the touring agents or the promoters and demand pretty much anything you want. I mean, Bruce Springsteen back in the early 90s was getting 110% of gross. Promoters were losing 10% just to get Bruce Springsteen in the door because they could sell parking tickets and beer and et cetera.
Do they still do that now?
I don't think the 110% deal, it's
crazy.
very uncommon. I don't think it happens anymore because the touring business has also been rocked by the pandemic. So, so this will give Taylor a reason to go to Universal when it comes time for renegotiation. And Universal is a very artist-friendly label, and it's also the biggest label on the planet by a long shot. Basically go in and say, you guys guaranteed me $20 million an album. I'd like 30. I'll give you an extra album. It might happen. This 10 in the top 10 is not exactly a direct moneymaker, but her manager, her agent, her lawyer are probably already counting the millions of dollars that this will mean in the future.
Of course. So what deals do you think are next for Taylor?
Well, clearly she's got this big tour that's coming out. And if the fan consumption of what she has put out, the re-releases and the new releases, is any indication, this is going to be the biggest live event in 2023. I haven't heard of any act coming out. I mean, U2's been quiet. Pink Floyd usually does monster numbers. I don't know that they're coming out anymore. If Led Zeppelin got back together, yeah, that would probably beat it. But, this is a $300, $400, maybe $500 million world tour. Tickets will be expensive. She'll put on a great show.
Yeah.
2023 could be the biggest financial year Taylor Swift has ever had if she does those kind of numbers on the road. And that's coming off of 2 of the biggest recording years that she's ever had. So it's pretty good to be Taylor right now.
And is this unprecedented for an artist to kind of get the longevity of her career? She's never really had any low points. I mean, she did like we talked about earlier, get like a little bit canceled earlier, but you can't even really say that because she's been putting out album after album.
It's not unprecedented. I mean, if you look back at the Michael Jackson's career, you know, he started when he was 5, 6, 7 years old. I can't remember, and there were a couple of flops in there, and of course there was all the personal you know, troubles in the news. But Michael Jackson was a monster. You know, he had the best record deal in the business ever, and I don't know that anyone will ever beat it. Madonna was the same way. Prince back in the 80s was anything these people put out sold millions and millions of copies. Their tours did monster numbers. So Taylor she's inherited the mantle. I mean, she is the biggest music star out there today. Arguably, you could say Drake gives her competition, but he hasn't delivered this kind of these massive, consistent numbers that she has.
And could you see anyone taking that mantle from Taylor anytime soon?
I can think of people I'd want to take it away, but I don't see anybody in the wings. Drake is probably the closest, I would say.
And so with this stadium tour, does this mean, you know, touring is officially back in the way it was pre-pandemic?
It's certainly back. We haven't seen pre-pandemic numbers yet, but I think we've all seen it. You know, you go to theaters, you go to movies. Live events are back. Vegas is back open. The Michael Jackson show is back in Vegas. I think, assuming there is not some massive global pandemic that takes off in the winter of 2022, 2023, the spring, summer, fall concert season will be one of the biggest we've seen.
You know, I'm really looking forward to that.